Look at this.
Flowers like glacier, pretty like ray tracing. I've become complacent.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. In this video, I have some propagations that I need to pot up. It will be a very chill video, and if that's something you're interested in, please keep watching. So here are some propagations that I have sitting around my house that are ready to be potted up. Most of them are pothos. So let me show you. So not too long ago, I called myself repotting this plant. Look at this. This is a pothos. It was very full, it was very happy, and when I repotted her, she didn't like it whatsoever. She was extremely root bound. I was, watering her very frequently, more frequently than you would normally water a pothos. So, but yeah, this is what I have. I am really interested to up-pot her, but I'm not gonna do that today. But I did want to show you her because this is my oldest pothos here. And you know what? When I repotted her, I think I dropped the cover to the water reservoir in the water reservoir. I can hear it moving around, and when I was repotting her, I was wondering where it went. And it's at the bottom of the pot, so fun times. My other pothos that I do have, I took the cuttings from that plant and I put it on a moss pole and stuck it in my XO. It's doing very well, actually. That's where most of these cuttings came from. She was starting to wrap around the XO as far as growing across the top, growing across the bottom, all up the wall. She was going crazy. I was gonna repot her, but instead of repotting her, I just took all of her vines and cut them up and decided to water propagate them. So let me go ahead and show you what I have today. So here is one of my water propagations for my pothos. It's in a plastic cup. Here is another propagation of my pothos that I have from my second plant. Here is the third set of cuttings that I have. And these cuttings actually in this container seem more mature than the other cuttings. The stems on here are very thick, so I put them by themselves because I think I may not pot them up with these other cuttings. I might just go ahead at a later time and try to put it on a moss pole since the leaves are huge. And like I said, the stems are extremely thick and have the good aerial roots on the stem that I think would attach great to a moss pole. This container here, it's extremely full of water. I have a few different cuttings in here. I have some Monstera adansonii, and I also have a Syngonium cutting in here, but most of the cuttings in this container are from my pothos. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to get as many of them as I can today and put them in a pot together. And my plan is to go ahead and just put the plant back up on my wall in a Wally Grow planter, and I'll go ahead and show you that as well after I finish repotting them. I'm going to put them in one of these clear containers that I normally use as a water reservoir for some of my other plants that I get from Amazon. The reason why I'm going to put it in here is because it's very light, it's clear, I can see through it. I don't think these pothos cuttings need any type of special container, and since it's so light, I think it would do very well in the Wally Grow planter on the wall. And all of these pothos cuttings today will go in leca. I recently cleaned a whole lot of leca as far as sterilizing in boiling water. So that's what I have in this big container here. Here are what the roots are looking like from this first cup of the cuttings. Wow, this is crazy. It's almost like I left them in here for way too long. So here are the roots from the second container of cuttings I have that I'm going to be repotting today as well. Dripping all over the place. And this is what they're looking like so far. I don't have any rhyme or reason. I just had an idea to go ahead and pot them all up together in this container. So here's the back of the container. I think I can get some more of the cuttings in here. Let's try to separate the cuttings that are not the pothos. So here's a very mature cutting that has one of the thicker stems that has the roots growing along the entire stem. And to me, when I see a pothos growing like this, I know it's getting more mature and it's a great candidate to climb up a moss pole. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put that over here to the side if she'll fit in here. Okay, let me leave that alone. And I don't know if you've ever heard this, but I have heard that if you put a pothos cutting in the water while you're trying to root another plant, it can help it root a little faster. So that's kind of why I have random cuttings sitting in here with this plant as well. Oh my God. And see, this is one of the pieces that was in the XO. And the root was growing into some moss that was sitting at the bottom of the XO. And the root is crazy. And this is an aerial root. So let me see if I can get her to fit in here. Without breaking this existing root. It's almost like I should just cut it. But let me see if I can just let her live. And look, I think she's gonna work out okay in here. And this water is a little murky looking, but I do change it out regularly. And it also has some liquid dirt in there. So liquid dirt is brown. This is a cutting that has a thicker stem as well, but I think it will look nice in here with these other pieces. So let me see. What else is in here? I have more Adansonii cuttings in here. Ooh wee. So some of the roots that had moss still stuck to them kind of slothed it off, but that's okay. I'm gonna see if I can get this next cutting in there with this extremely long root. It doesn't have very many leaves, but the root system on this one piece is crazy. Can you see that? So this is what I have so far. I think this is so beautiful. This makes me feel so much better knowing that I can still grow this plant out. So let me go ahead and add the leca. And while I'm filling this container with leca, I'm gonna go ahead and hold these the taller cuttings down in the pot so that they don't pop out or accidentally get planted too high and are not in contact with the leca correctly. Here is what the pothos is looking like and all of the cuttings in this container together. You guys, this looks absolutely amazing. I'm so happy that I have these cuttings that I was able to plant back up together and have a very full plant. Let me go ahead and make sure there's no big air pockets in here. I can kind of see a few. Some of the newer leaves that were growing in the glass containers that I had them in are a little stuck, but they'll find their way. I'm gonna go ahead and fill this up with some nutrient water. And I'm gonna fill it up maybe about halfway since these cuttings have been sitting in water for so long. I don't wanna treat them like a plant that I'm transferring from soil. And here's one of the glass containers that these cuttings were in. This sucker is heavy. This is a glass container that I found at Goodwill. And it's also from IKEA. And these are one of the ones that I was mentioning in my last video that I can say I got for like $1. At this size, this one probably was like $1.50, maybe $2. But geez, that sucker is heavy. These cuttings were also sitting in a window, so they probably are, you might see some good algae buildup in the containers. And this is the nutrient water. I'm gonna fill it up. Well, it's kind of more than half. That's okay with me because the roots from these cuttings are just used to sitting in water and I don't want them stressing out. I already lost this plant one time. Well, I don't want the roots stressing out trying to get some nutrients or water. So I don't mind the reservoir being very high. Over time, they will start getting more used to having a smaller reservoir and the roots are gonna grow all the way to the bottom of this container as well. Hope that's coming off okay on camera for you guys. So this is her new situation. And let me go ahead and grab the Wally Grow container. Actually, I have it right here on my wall and this is where they're gonna go. But let me show you what it looks like. So here's the Wally Grow planter that I have on my wall. I have a lot of them. You might even notice that I have some hooks already on the wall behind me and they don't have a plant in them. And they also come with a separator you can add to the back if you're going to plant your plants directly in here. But for me, I don't like doing that because these are above electrical outlets and you already know I don't play that. I don't have time to be worried about water getting, water dripping out of anything and getting into an electrical socket. So let's see which way she want to go in here. Ooh. So let's see. It's wobbling around a little bit. But I think it could use something sitting in the bottom. So let me go grab a grocery bag or something to sit at the bottom so it's leveled. So I found some bubble wrap that I was going to throw away, but a lot of the times I like saving this to see if I can use it for something. I really don't like throwing it away. But what I'm thinking is to make like a little pallet in the bottom of the container. So I have it folded up like this. I'm just gonna sit in the bottom to see if this will not rock. You see that? It's a little bit more stable. So I'm not gonna hang it up like this. I'm gonna take this inner pot out. I just wanna make sure once I put it in there, she's gonna be all good. And I'm gonna put it back on my wall. So let me step out the way just a little bit, and this is her right here. And and I look forward to her growing over this container and trailing a little bit because I don't have anything right there. And there's also a light below it and above it, so it should be good and get some adequate lighting. So let's go ahead and pot up the next plant. The next plant that I want to pot up today is this philodendron Florida Beauty. She is so pretty. I love her. This is a recent plant that I got from a seller on Etsy, and when she came in, she was in a 2-inch clear pot, and I don't know, whatever was on her roots, I wasn't really happy with it. So I just went ahead and took her out because she didn't have a lot of roots, what it looked like. But today she has some really good roots. So let me show you her. She's so dainty. I would never think, but maybe because she's so tiny. But can you see these roots she has now? She has secondary roots coming in, which makes me feel really good to go ahead and put her in some leca. I think she would benefit from getting some type of nutrients because right now I just have her in water because I just want her to grow some more roots so she can be a really strong plant. Her newest leaf that came in is a little all green leaf. This is a top cutting, and I'm hoping that once I get her in a more long-term situation that she'll start, growing some more leaves like this. And I plan on moving her a little closer to the light, but not too close to where she'll start getting burned from the light. And let's see. Honestly, for now, I don't mind putting her back in the same container she was already in. This is a glass container that I mentioned before that I got from Goodwill. I have a whole lot of these in many different sizes, short, taller, or the same size. And since she has a lot of water roots, I'm going to treat her similar to my Pothos. I'm going to put the water reservoir in here to where it covers the roots just a little bit so she's not in complete shock. I can't wait to see this plant grow though, because it looks like it has some good potential to be amazing. I don't know, the roots that was on here when I purchased her just looked like they weren't doing well. And that didn't make me comfortable. I wanted to get some better roots on her because, I spent a lot of money on this plant. Well, I spent what I considered to be a lot of money for a plant on this one, and I didn't want it to be, I didn't want it to tap out on me. So let me see. I'm hoping at some point I'll be able to put her on a moss. Still want to be able to see her roots, so I'm going to put her a little closer to the side. So this is what she's looking like. I can still see her roots. This leca is very large. I should have probably used my other leca that's a little bit smaller, but I'm just going to go ahead and keep the water up pretty high in here so the roots that are not touching the leca directly will still be able to get to some water. And I like the way it turned out. This plant is so tiny, and I don't know if you know, but for me, I'd be worried about some of these little baby plants because I'm so rough with my plants sometimes. This is excessive as far as the water goes. I hope you can see that, but I don't want to risk this plant, stressing out. And it's already been sitting in, it's already been submerged in water for a long period of time. I don't think the high water in here will hurt the plant at all. So this is my philodendron Florida Beauty, and she is so cute, you guys. I love the variegation on this plant, and I have always wanted this plant, but I never wanted to pay this plant's prices. It's just crazy. But I was able to find her at a good price for my personal collection, and I love her. And I'm gonna grow her really big because this philodendron Florida green over here, and when I got her, she was about this size. And now she's on a 4-foot moss pole, and she's, killing it. But let's move on to the next plant. The next plant that I want to repot today is my philodendron Jerry Horne. This plant was going crazy, growing very well, and all of a sudden, like, it started looking kind of strange on its moss pole. So the bottom of the plant, okay, let's be honest here. I accidentally forgot to water it, and oh shit. So I accidentally forgot to water this plant one time, and like 3 of the lower leaves just fell off. And it's crazy because it was sitting underneath a grow light, and it was very close to a window at the same time, and it was just doing amazing. Look at these leaves. So it just kind of started looking wonky on its moss pole because the bottom of it was completely missing, and I was like, this looks crazy. And I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and start her over and give her another chance. So I put her in this clear vase with water. These are 2 cuttings. This sucker is heavy. She's in one of the glass containers that I got from Hobby Lobby. This is one of the biggest ones that I have. I don't know the dimensions of this whatsoever, but I put tall plants in here for the most part, or bigger leafed philodendrons in here for whatever reason that it's needed. But look at these leaves on this Jerry Horne. You can tell that I've, stressed this plant out quite a bit, but the leaves on here are so beautiful. I just love a good green leaf, especially on my philodendrons. I'm just a philodendron girl. So let me go ahead and see what I'm about to do with her. I know there's a top cutting in here and there's a mid cut. And the bottom of the plant is outside in soil, actually. I didn't know if it was gonna grow back or not, or what was going on with it, but it looks kind of funny. But she's sitting outside. These petioles are crazy. Okay, so I didn't realize this, but both pieces actually have roots, but I'm not really comfortable with the amount of roots on this cutting, so I might just leave it in water for a little while and see if it'll give me some more roots. Can you see her? Leaves are crazy. Leaves are crazy. So this cutting, let me see if I can give you a good shot. This cutting has 4 leaves on it, and it's doing very well. It's actually growing another growth point here. So this is the mid cut, and I'm gonna leave her in water. I can see one of her aerial roots is looking a little soft. So I'm not in no hurry to pot this plant up. I'm just gonna go ahead and leave this piece in the water. However, this is the top cutting. Let me get this out the shot. This is the top cutting. When I cut her, she had a leaf actually growing out. Well, she had a leaf pushing out, and it ended up making it. So this is the newest leaf actually that started pushing out. It was doing so bad and looking so crazy. When I saw her, I just chopped it up. I was like, oh, we're not losing this whole plant. But obviously the whole plant wasn't like suffering or anything. It just was looking crazy more than anything. So here's another leaf. This plant is beautiful, you guys. And let me know if this is something that you would be interested in seeing on my shop, because I can always cut the other piece into more pieces, I guess. The only thing is, so I'm gonna go ahead and pot this up, and I don't know if I've already showed you, but these are her roots that she has, and she has plenty of secondary roots. I'm very comfortable just potting her up today by herself. So I'm gonna put her in this container. And the reason that I want to go ahead and get some of these plants out of the water is because you put them in, for me, I put my plants in water and I don't give them nutrients unless I start notice them growing a lot while they're in water. So I might give them a little nutrients, but they're in water to grow their roots. So I want them to focus on growing the roots. So this one has some very, very good roots, and I am excited to go ahead and I'm very excited to go ahead and get her transitioned over to leca. And I hope she don't mind. Like I said before, this plant was originally on a moss pole. Once she starts getting a little taller and the other piece starts growing some more roots, I'll go ahead and put them together and put them on a moss pole. And I'll probably end up putting them in one of my tall, clear pots. But I'm gonna go ahead and put her in this vase. And let's get into it. There's a damn spider over here. This was sitting outside, so Jesus. Now, I don't mind spiders, but if it jumps on me, I'm gonna lose my shit. Hold on. Okay, I didn't want to take it out, but it was jumping everywhere, so. So this is what she's looking like in her new situation. These leaves are going every which way. And this is what her roots are looking like in here. Ooh. Oh, I just got slapped by the damn plant. But this is my philodendron Jerry Horne. And I'm gonna let the other piece continue to try to root itself out in the vase of water. And I'm gonna go ahead and clean these leaves off just a little bit. They collect dust very quickly. I know they're big, but man, it's crazy. And I feel like I'm always wiping the leaves down. Some plants got repotted and some plants didn't, but that's okay. The plants that were not repotted in today's video, I will take care of at a later date, but I want to thank you so much for joining me. If you like today's content, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.
Flowers like glacier, pretty like ray tracing.